Hey, it's Nick and Eric, and we are back from Barber's Motorsports Park in Alabama, and it's an entirely new season, 2025. It's Lemon's 20th something season. We're gonna try something new for these wrap-ups, so let's get to it. Now, Barber's has been our season opener for most of the last 12 years, and it's early in the year, so weather-wise, it's a little bit of a roll of the dice. It can be really rainy and cold. This year, it was not. It was like 65 degrees with blue skies for both racing days. That was awesome. Now, Barber's is in Leeds, Alabama, which is mostly known by our racers for being the home of Bass Pro Shops and the Buc-ee's, but we feel compelled to point out that it's also the hometown of one of our favorite basketball Hall of Famers, Charles Barkley, who, incidentally, is a big fan of our own YouTube commenters.
Now, you just sit at home in your grandma's basement with your drawers on, typing on your damn keyboard. Shut the hell up.
Now, we also noticed something new about Barber's before this race.
Nick. Why do you keep saying Barbers? It's Barber, singular. Barber Motorsports Park, named after George Barber. He's the guy who built the place, to put his motorcycles on. He's got the museum. Barber.
Oh, hell yeah, I'm gonna be at Star Trek Trivia. Kidding? Yeah. Hey, listen, I gotta check my Lemons email. I'll talk to you later. All right. Live long and prosper.
Please accept our entry into the Barber's event.
On Friday, February 1 at Barber's, like you guys did for...
How many cars do you anticipate for Barber's?
We are registering for the Barber's course.
Together for the next race at Barber's.
Was interested in running Barber's.
Is there any news on when we could register for the Barber's race?
Hello, Nick. Seeking a late entry for the Lemons race at Barber's.
Do y'all think the stuff I order will be here before the Barber's race?
Hello, Nick. If we withdraw from next weekend event at Barber's...
I was going through my emails looking for invoices for the Barber's event back in...
It was purchased new and worn the first time the Feb race at Barber's.
Good evening. When will the application for the Barber's race be approved?
We registered and were accepted to the race at Barber's this weekend.
Good morning. I'm running a car at the Barber's race, and I'm in
I was going to see if maybe we could transfer some of the race news from Barber's to see.
We live in Birmingham, and our frequent visitors at Barber's Motorsports.
Being somewhat competitive at Barber's.
We just registered a team for the Barber's Alabama race.
We just learned about the Barber's race today.
We already paid for it, but we have not paid for Barber's.
Nick, right here, buddy. You're with me.
Sorry.
You're with me.
Sorry,
right here.
drifted off there for a second.
So everybody on the staff at some point gets the short end of the stick with rental cars. This time I got a brand new Nissan Sentra with 800 miles on it. Still had the delivery stickers and the tire markers on it, and yet...
All right, like I said at the top, we're gonna try a new format. It's gonna be a little shorter, but I think you guys are gonna like it. Here's Lemons in a nutshell.
No, it's funny because we don't talk about the cars. He set it up. But Dane Cook said it was funny. That kind of thing. Okay. Fine. Yeah, okay. Nick, he says we have to talk about the cars and the race.
Oh, we had some great rookies at this race, starting with Rudolph's Revenge and their Volkswagen. The team captain is a diesel mechanic. He's racing with a couple of his sons. He owns 5 of this particular generation of Jetta that has this particular motor, which is the Turbo Diesel. And yes is the answer to the question you're all asking. Did he part out his daily driver to fix the race car during the race? And then, of course, he had to depart out his daily driver in order to go home. One other note, this team was racing on the Z-Tex HP 1000 tires. It's got 400 tread wears and 1,000 hit points. They're made in something-istan. They cost $27 per pair and make the car sound like a 70s cop show.
And we also had rookies Shift Happens in their Honda Accord. These guys did the absolute right thing. They pulled a car out of the tree line in the middle of nowhere. And this is kind of what happens when people say, there are no $500 cars. They're not actually looking. Go drive around in a rural area with a trailer and $500 cash.
60% of the time, it works every time.
We had several Ford Escorts, which excites me as a former Ford Escort Lemons racer. We will talk specifically about Flaming Dragons and Restaurant in their Ford Escort. Now, this is an awesome team. They did a great Tropic Thunder Al Pacino booty sweat theme.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Al Pacino here to tell you about my new energy drink, Booty Sweat.
The theme was great. The car is awesome. It had raced with a previous team. These guys bought it. It has the base CVH engine with motorcycle carbs on it, meaning that it has great throttle response and like 80 wheel horsepower. Things were going well until one of the drivers decided to follow a BMW over some tall curbs. It smashed the fuel line and the car caught on fire kind of a lot. They managed to get out of the car fine, replace the fuel line, and they sent it the next day.
Big shout out to Half Fast Racing. They've got their 3 VW New Beetles and their 1 Miata. They have an incredible Swerve Pro cleaning theme, and they hosted the potluck. We love these guys.
We had a couple of great NB second generation Miata teams. How Hard Can It Be Racing did a Not So Evil Knievel theme. They brought the judges flowers and cards and candy. That was hella sweet. We also had My Apologies. Now, you might remember the Saturn rocket theme team from NCM last year, which maybe triggered me a little bit. And I'm not bitter about it at all. I'm talking about it on the internet in front of everybody. And, oh, ooh, Tom got to go to space camp and I didn't get to go to space camp. But, Tom's okay. I'm not mad. To make it up, they brought me a pin and a certificate that at least allows me to pretend I went to space camp. And that's almost as important as going to space camp.
And then we had La Gabarra, who for some reason are driving a Honda Civic. They had a Planet Express theme, which is one we've seen before. It kind of never gets old, but to put their own twist on it, instead of Bender, they had Hedonism Bot.
Oh, how dreadfully exciting.
Another Honda came from Most Wanted with this Prelude. Now, these guys didn't show up until Sunday morning because they had spent the week trying to make a BMW run.
It didn't work.
They had just acquired this car, which is like a legit early 2000s Fast and Furious tuner car that they pulled out of the woods in North Georgia. Had clearly been sitting for a while, but definitely was not stolen at any point in its life.
As we mentioned in the 2024 season wrap-up video, people have started bringing the right Mercedes to Lemons, by which we mean the ones that are absolutely stock with squishy suspensions and are wagons and or diesels. That's what Swim Mom Racing Team did here with their E320 wagon. This car debuted last year. It looked like a car that would drop kids off at swim practice, hence the team name. This time they had rethemed as the F1 medical car. Now, in its day, this W210 chassis was the official F1 medical car. It was the AMG version with some kind of big old V8. This one did not have that.
We also had piston broke in their BMW 5 Series. The rear suspension spring is actually a valve spring out of a Top Fuel dragster. Springs are springs, right?
No.
Another BMW, the Für die Kinder guys, had some kind of BMW turn signal repair bit that they did. Here it is.
What the hell is even that?
And on a completely different note, there was Breaking Badly and their Chevy El Camino, which was done up as Jesse Pinkman's El Camino from the Breaking Bad follow-up, El Camino.
On the subject of Breaking Bad, the actual Breaking Bad team had 5 cars of varying shades of terrible. The Tercel literally had a plant growing out of the shifter.
Red Balls Racing managed to rip their home-built splitter right off of their Fiero, trying to drive it like not a Fiero. You would never guess that the suspension of this was the front half of a Chevette and also the front half of a Citation.
Apocalyptic Racing had all kinds of problems with their Ford Mustang. The engine was running like crap, and then they had this problem with the starter motor that was a little bit difficult to diagnose.
Skinny Coyote Racing has this BMW 3 Series with a Ford V8 in it. The week of the race, they decided to convert it from fuel injection to carbureted for some reason. They went through like 8 different carbs trying to find one that worked. The timing was like 40 degrees off. They made their own shims out of foil to shim the valves. It was just a nightmare. They finally managed to kind of get it working Saturday.
Then we had Ranger Road Motors, which of course is the great program that puts veterans and first responders into race cars. They had a new build, which was a VW New Beetle with a 5-cylinder. They had some initial trouble unloading the car, and then the transmission was leaking, and then they replaced the transmission seal. Then the dash lit up like a Christmas tree, as Volkswagens are wont to do, and then it wouldn't run at all. That was a big bummer. We look forward to seeing this car in the future.
Had some tough luck for Subaru's. Bonus Money Racing ran 1 lap at Road Atlanta before it blew up a couple months ago. They rushed to get another engine in the car, got on the track, everybody got to drive it a little bit, and then it blew up.
A couple of teams joined forces for this race, Dunning-Kruger Effect Racing and Dumpster Fire Motorsports. They had a couple of Subaru Imprezas. There was the boys' car, which was a WRX-powered thing, and then the girls' car, which was a super base Impreza wagon. Each team had an actual member of the Andretti family. We had Adam Andretti on the boys' team and Tabitha Andretti in her first ever race on the girls' team. Now, we've seen this kind of battle before. The more powerful, more extensively prepped car with more experienced drivers wins 100% of the time.
Yes, well!
Yeah, not only did the stock girls car win, the WRX-powered boys car blew up on test day, then blew up again after 4 laps in the race. Then Adam Andretti killed the team's hoopty-ass golf cart and was seen pushing it through the paddock. And for the record, in Lemons, we've had Andretti's, and we've previously had an Unser. So now we're just waiting on the Rahals and the Foyts.
Mofoco are a team from Minneapolis, and they emailed us like 5 days before the race, and they're like, man, we just don't know if we're gonna make it. The car's running like doo-doo. They showed up anyway and said, we'll just see what happens. Ended up finishing second in Class B.
Speaking of almost winning Class B, we had Smoky Unit in their VW Golf TDI. They've almost won a couple of times, and this time they were leading for like 13 of the 14 hours of the race. They were up by 15 laps, and then with about an hour to go, the engine started gushing oil everywhere, and they did not win.
Turbo Diesel!
Meanwhile, in Class A, the exact same thing happened. Lemonade Racing, big lead, blew up with an hour to go. And on the subject of spilled oil, here is the pallet of oil dry at the start of the weekend, and here it is on Sunday afternoon. On behalf of the 24 Hours of Lemons, we'd like to apologize to Barbers.
All right, here are the winners. Let's talk about the Class B winner, Crash and the Toyota Celica. They've come close many times. This was the first race back for team captain Doug after he had heart surgery. He missed a couple of races, came back, won his class. Hella sweet.
Class C really turned into kind of a dream matchup we've never seen in Lemons. 2 hat cars where the car was from 1959, talking about an Edsel Ranger and a Borg Ward Isabella. Now, these are amazing. They were running like first and second in class for almost the entire weekend, running really similar lap times. The Borg Ward managed to triumph by just a little bit. It is Miata mechanical components, but they are bolted onto the Borg Ward unibody that is almost 70 years old. That was amazing. And the Edsel was no slouch either, hilariously quick for what it is, which is just a basic Crown Vic. They did a great used cars theme during BS inspection. Amazing stuff. All right, let's talk about the trophies that matter. We'll start with the Heroic Fix, which was Frankenstein Motorworks. But before we talk about the Fix, we kind of have to talk some Lemons history and the Heroic Fixer, Mark LeBranche. Now, Mark is an old school Lemons racer who we first saw at 2009 at the famous race at Nelson's Ledges. Mark has done a couple of monumentally amazing mechanical things in the time since Nelson's Ledges. First of all, Judge Phil many years ago issued a decree saying that any radial engine swap would be budget exempt. Mark took that as a personal challenge and swapped a 5-cylinder radial engine into a Toyota MR2. Not long after that, Apocalyptic Racing, who we just talked about, brought a janky Toyota Celica to a race with a stock 20R engine. It ran like 2 laps before it tossed a rod out the side of the block. They happened to be pitted next to Mark at that race, and Mark looked at that giant hole and said, "Yeah, you can fix that, it's no big deal." He helped the guys cut a license plate to fit the hole, and then JB welded the license plate over the hole. They blocked off the oil passages and basically turned the cylinders that had blown up into dead cylinders, ran on 2 cylinders, took the checkered flag.
Fast forward 13 years or so to this Barber's race, and Mark's current race car, a 3rd gen MR2, blew an exhaust valve rocker arm, which came out of the side of the cylinder head while he was leading the race. "What do I do?" says Mark. Well, he decided to go over to his old friends at Apocalyptic Racing and ask their team captain Brett, "Hey man, you got any more of those license plates?" He did. It was from Ohio. Mark took it, cut out a piece, put some JB weld on it, and smacked it onto the side of his engine. That engine was now a 15 valve, but according to Mark, that 16th one is just for like emissions or something. Didn't need it. Now, we were perhaps not as confident as Mark that this would work, but this is the guy that built a radial engine swap Lemon's car, and sure enough, this MR2 ran for 9 hours without missing a beat, and in fact, it ran the 2nd quickest lap of the entire weekend. That was heroic.
I Got Screwed went to S is for Sucks and their Buick Regal GS. Now, first of all, what an amazing car to bring to Lemons, and what a great team name, which, if you don't know it, S is for Sucks is a reference to a 20-year-old internet cartoon.
Thing doesn't look natural.
But it also covers the S in GS. Now, this was a first-time team, and when the car showed up during BS inspection, the engine didn't sound great. The indestructible Buick 3800 made it 3 entire corners before it spun all of the rod bearings. After they got towed in, the team got under it, found the bad bearings, pulled them out, just decided to just put new bearings in without looking too closely at the crankshaft. They made it 4 laps this time before the bearings again spun and the 3800 was officially dead. Now, that said, these guys were pumped to be on the track at all, and these guys are from Mississippi, which is a state where we don't have a lot of teams. When we asked them about that, they said, well, Mississippi's kind of like the South's version of Michigan. It is full of clapped out Big 3 products, and they'd have no problem finding an engine donor, so we're pretty sure we'll see them again.
Yeah, to back up that idea of Mississippi being the Michigan of the South, the only other Mississippi team at this event were the Recalcitrant Racers and their Mercury Grandma Keith. It was a totally stock, super soft sprung land barge with all of the Mercury luxury interior removed. The ride height was incredible, as was their key that they used to start the car.
The special trophy for this race was the Law and Order Mayberry Victims Unit trophy, and it went to Rust Cartel and their Ford Fairlane. Now, this was one of those great themes that's kind of just always been out there. These guys have been around a long time. They crashed the car a couple years ago, and it was gone for like 2 or 3 years. They came back with this brand new Andy Griffith Show theme with the Mayberry police painted on the side. They had Andy, they had Opie, they had Goober, they had Barney Fife with his one bullet. They stayed in costume all weekend, including showing up to the potluck with some good Southern comfort food. Now, the judging crew for this weekend, judges Neil, Brian, Bob, and Rob, were doing a vaguely Law and Order theme, and considering that we watched Barney arrest Jeff from Ranger Road, it felt like kind of the gritty Netflix reboot of Andy Griffith, so we gave them the Law and Order Mayberry Victims Unit trophy.
Now, we've seen this multiple times in Lemons. If you have an interesting car, you don't really need a theme, but the kind of team that brings an interesting car is the kind of team that does a good theme. And so we wind up with both. That's certainly been the case with Battle Cat. Last year, they showed up with this XJR and a Chicago Bears head coach Mike Ditka theme. Now, between last year's race and this one, Jaguar itself did this totally inexplicable, high-concept rebranding involving a bootleg Andy Warhol and some lady in bubble wrap. So they figured, we gotta do something with that. And we supported this change. We always like a theme that references current events, but we were just sad we weren't gonna see any more of Mike Ditka. Or were we? Now what about the race itself? Well, the Jag didn't fare so well. The engine overheated to Chernobyl levels, burned a hole in one of the pistons. They had a spare engine, but it was mostly disassembled and it was a couple hours away. Unfortunately, they were parked for most of the weekend. Still, amazing car, amazing theme.
Organizer's choice went to Maverick Boucher, the Waterboy. Now, we've seen this team for like a year and a half with this thing. It is underneath it a C5 Corvette, and on top of that, a Ford Maverick that had a tree growing out of it. Kind of a great hat car. And since they debuted it, they've kind of been adding to themes bit by bit over the years. They did a pretty good Maverick James theme.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
But the Maverick James was kind of superficial. This time they went all out and did a Waterboy theme, which is of course the movie featuring Adam Sandler as the Waterboy. They had the whole cast, they had the unintelligible Cajun, they had pushed the car to the grid using Bobby Boucher's lawnmower, but crucially, the Waterboy himself was 200% in on the character all weekend. He was handing out water from a Camelback to everybody in the paddock, doing the bit when nobody else was looking, like blessing cars with water. It was spectacular. We love when teams sell out completely on a theme like this. Really well done.
Halloween meets gasoline, which is a grand to the best theme / costumes / decorations. It went to Matta Craps' car. We're a bunch of rookies in a Subaru Legacy. Now this car was another example of refuting the idea that there are no cars for $500. This Legacy was on an auction site. Team captain bid $350, forgot about it, gets an email like a week later, "You have won." And of course he says, "Oh, now what?" They've got a 270,000 mile Subaru that needs to be turned into a race car. So what did they do in the months prior to the race? Well, they spent all of the time turning it into Marty the Zebra from the Madagascar movies. And of course they had costumes, they had signs, they had a choreographed dance routine that they displayed during tech. And most importantly, Marty the Zebra himself, pretty good look-alike. The whole family was there. They were in character and in costume for the whole weekend. The kids, who were also driving the car, racked up all of the penalties as far as we can tell. They were in the penalty box so often that judges Bob and Rod eventually wrote an absence note to their teachers since they had missed class on Friday. So they won the HMG in a very competitive field, as we mentioned, of great themes and costumes. Really well done for a rookie team. Can't wait to see them again in the future.
And that brings us to the Index of Affluency, our top prize for the crappiest car that does the best, and it went to Reformation Racing and their Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, we've seen these guys for 3 or 4 years. They're related actually to the Mayberry Fairlane team, and they have been hammering on this totally roached ZJ generation Grand Cherokee. And you know what? This might be the real ultimate driving machine. Is it rear-wheel drive? Yes. Is it a straight 6 engine? Also yes. Does it not have leaf springs? Yes or no. Phrase that kind of weird, but whatever. According to the checklist, basically a BMW. This time, they finished 38th overall with the 85th quickest lap. They beat BMWs, they beat WRXs, and most importantly, they beat their relatives in the Fairlane. That's how you do it, and here is Lemons in a Nutshell for real.
It's still going! Yeah. Did they leave any on the track?
Yeah, you might need to restart.
You know, Barber charges a nickel a rock, right?
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?